So my name is Alida Fisher, and I'm running for San Francisco Board of Education. I'm running because I'm a former foster parent, now adoptive parent, and in the past 15 years that my 4 kids have attended 7 different San Francisco Unified Schools, I've been an active parent at each one. However, it was really my journey into identifying their special needs and learning differences that turned me into an advocate. I'm the past chair of the Community Advisory Committee for Special Education, and now the advocacy chair. I sit on our LCAP task force, which is all about budget oversight. I've been a proud member of the African American Parent Advisory Council since its inception, because all my children are African American. And I'm a member of our Equity Studies Task Force, our Charter School Oversight Committee, and now a member of our Reopening Task Force. I'm a collaborative partner who works to improve outcomes for our most marginalized students, and in some cases hold the district accountable when we're not providing the supports our students need. I'm a special education advocate by career and a policy wonk and data nerd just by profession. That's who I am. I'm run because I understand that our budget needs to reflect our values. For me, the past 15 years have been a real education in my white privilege. And I've seen the disparities in outcomes for students depending on their race, their ethnicity, home language, socioeconomic status. When we see such large gaps in outcomes between student groups, we really need to reflect on the problems with our system rather than blaming and punishing our students. We need more supports in our schools, whether that be reading interventions or mental health support. I've spent the past 10 years attending Board of Education meetings, committee meetings, providing comments on policies and budgets. Now it's time to take it to the next level. Instead of commenting on the policies, I'm ready to help write policies that put for inclusion and support at the forefront. And I will develop budgets that prioritize programs that improve outcomes for all students and help everyone reach their potential.
Okay, thanks for that brief statement. We appreciate that. Do we have any questions for Ms. Fisher? John Mark.
Oh yeah, I had a couple questions actually, just real quick. First of all, I wasn't sure if you're a questionnaire or what your day job is. Do you work full time for the schools, or you do this only as a volunteer?
I do not work for the school district. I work for a local nonprofit, CASE, the Community Alliance for Special Education. I'm a contractor there, and I'm also a sole prop business owner here in San Francisco. I have my own business that does special education advocacy too. So, yeah.
And then the other thing was about on your answer about reopening schools, because especially I'm interested because you're a member of this logistics of reopening task force.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't clear like who you actually listen to. I mean, do you take more advice from, say, like the city's Department of Public Health or UCSF doctors? I mean, where do you get a sense of like when it's safe to reopen and for who?
That's the $1 million question, right?
You're not an expert yourself, so I'm asking who you actually listen to.
Yeah, no, I would say Department of Public Health as far as safely reopening. And we've got the City Department of Health, and then we've got the California State Department of Health, right? So, the guidelines vary depending on who you look at and what. And actually, I refer back to our parents a lot too, because there's for us in the special education community, a lot of our kids are immunocompromised. So even if the Department of Public Health says it's okay to reopen, it's still not safe for some families to send their kids back to school until everyone's vaccinated, right? And we've got a lot of, especially our school district has a huge population, of students who are Latinx. And if you look at our infection rates in the city, the city's 15% Latinx, but over 50% of the infections are in the Latinx community. So there's a lot of families who are very worried about sending their kids back to school for even increasing the exposure when they know their community is very hard hit. It's kind of a yes and, right? I listen to the experts, but also to the families who have real valid concerns about going back to in-person learning yet.
Okay, thanks. Rich, you have a question, and you're on mute, Rich.
Yeah, just a quick question for you to clarify your point on JROTC. You say that you're neutral, but yet that you said that to introduce JROTC at a high school level is, you think that from what you seem to be stating here, you think in your opinion, I can agree with you. I was actually part of the JROTC program. I went to a military academy, and I actually served 4 years, in the Navy. But so I can understand your concern, but I don't understand how how you're not actually totally against if you think that that if you otherwise think that you don't think that kids should be high school of age, people of high school age are too young to be doing so. Not that there's a problem with it. I just want a little clarification. That's all. Because as you know, that's been throughout the history of the school board. I attended the JROTC hearings when it was when it was a hot topic. Back in, I think it was 2006 or whatever it
Yep.
was. So,
Yep.
right.
I, especially now when we're talking about defunding the police and, and being less militaristic. So I really do have a problem with creating a pathway into the military. So there's that. Where I think I want to recognize the value of JROTC in the past is, we've got to recognize we've got huge issues with bullying in our schools, right? And particularly, I had a conversation 2 years ago around this with someone who, the school locker room just wasn't a safe place for him when he was in high school. It was where like the most horrendous bullying happened to him because of lack of adult support. And when you're at your most vulnerable, not dressed or in the process of changing. And so he was able to switch into JROTC. And that for him, probably, he says it probably saved his life, not being put into that bullying situation every day. So if we had less militaristic alternatives to, and as we address bullying more in our schools and come up with more supportive programs, I recognize the benefit it's had in the past, but really worry about the pipeline it creates. How about that?
Yeah, I could actually see how you're not only weighing the pros with the cons, but with the more comprehensive discussion that you actually put in your questionnaire, it seems that you have an even keel, and I think I can understand what you mean.
Yeah, my dog apparently agrees with me in the background.
Yeah, there's a consensus, I guess. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. And any other questions?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I really appreciated that response. I spent a good chunk of my life advocating for dramatic cuts in military spending, and it's disturbing to see the pipeline. It's actually, you use the word pipeline, and
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Well, then that's part of why I'm doing the work I'm doing is to, disrupt multiple pipelines. My biggest issue is reading intervention. And I think that, we talk about the school to prison pipeline. The best way to interrupt that is, making sure that every student is a proficient reader by 3rd grade. And so making sure that we have more supports and services in place, and that we're actually catching kids instead of letting them fall through the cracks. And so in my work in special education advocacy, I do a lot of work with Decoding Dyslexia and International Dyslexia Association. And my big push is structured literacy in our schools.
Okay.
Is there anybody else on the board currently that has this special education focus like you?
Rachel Norton she chaired the same oversight committee that I did, the CAC, Community Advisory Committee for Special Education, but she has decided not to run again this year.
Okay.
So, yeah, no.
Okay, good.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us this evening. We'll post this interview along with your questionnaire on the website.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to spend time with you.